Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. And we are just a few weeks out now from our 9th annual P2P Transformation Summit on the 6th of June at the beautiful Hurlingham Club in London. And we're delighted to be headlined again by our fantastic partners, Tradeshift. And I'm really happy to talk to the VP EMEA of Tradeshift, Will Craven, and we're going to just speak a little bit about the event today. Hi, Will. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, and thank you for having us. Good to
Oh,
be
it's a
back.
pleasure. No, it's a pleasure to have you. And as you know, the topic that we're going to be focusing on for our summit this year is collaboration, cooperation, and connection. And like us at the P2P network, I'm sure you guys at Tradeshift and the industries that you're working with have had to focus on those three elements, probably more than we've ever had to do in the last 2-3 years, and we have ever had to do in the years prior to that. So that's the reason behind the focus for this year's event. But how have you guys seen that those three areas of business develop over that time?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. So I think, kind of 2 to 3 years, what have we had? We've had the pandemic, which kind of threw supply chains and P2P into sharp relief.
Mm,
But kind of winding the clock forward, is the world more stable and certain than it was, at any point in those last 2 to 3 years? And I don't think it is. Right, we've
mm,
shifted from kind of the post-pandemic shock waves that we still had in the supply chain.
mm,
But there's greater geopolitical instability now. There's a greater degree of uncertainty. We've had interest rate rises, cost of living crisis. We've had another financial collapse with SVB Bank going under.
yeah.
And despite that, and it seems counterintuitive, but despite kind of increased competition for resources and scarcity of resources, we are seeing kind of driving companies to work closer together. So better degrees of collaboration and communication, because it's the only way to survive and to thrive.
Mm,
So from an AP perspective, I think also we are seeing across the border, well, from P2P perspective as a whole, we're seeing a rise of kind of greater regulatory requirements, and sort of compliance being a good example. And if nothing else, that has a profound impact on how P2P teams engage and collaborate with their supply bases. And it needs a greater and kind of deeper form of connectivity for companies to be able to operate in these increasingly tightened regulatory operating environments.
I think that's right, and we are seeing a lot of that with the organisations and the individuals that we're speaking to with PPN. It's trying to get those elements of control in place, and I think some of the things that you talked about just now, in terms of the instability that we're finding across like you're saying, with the economy and the geopolitical events that were happening, you're trying to get that control back, and I think being able to collaborate across your end-to-end process is one way that you can regain that control and get that kind of deep visibility into your supply chain that is absolutely essential right now. Um, and to what extent do you think that technology is going to help things here?
So, I mean, technology is tooling, right? At the end of the day, it's a
Mm,
means to an end, and for the participants coming to the summit, there'll be a vast array of technology and different providers there,
mm,
for you to engage with. I think the other one of the bigger challenges that we see is it's not so much, there's a tool for everything, right? I think one of the bigger challenges we see is the human element, and the people and the process
mm,
challenges when we're engaging with P2P teams, helping them transform from paper to digital. It's not just about putting a piece of tooling in or a piece of software. It's how do you manage that human element, and how do you get over these process debts that may have been accumulated over many years, and then
mm.
transform it into something that is connected and does work from a technology perspective. So, kind of one of the key takeaways is that, unsurprisingly, the better degree of communication and collaboration within the teams and their supply base, the greater the success and the quicker the return that we see from a return on investment perspective, regardless of whatever the technology is.
Yeah, you're so right, and so many times we speak to organizations, and it's that change management piece that they sometimes forget about, that leaves, it's right at the end of that process rather than being at the beginning, and trying to realize that the people are the most important part of it. As you're saying, obviously the technology you couldn't do it without, but got to remember the people at the heart of that process. And collaboration and connection is what we're all about at PPN. It's the main reason why we put these kind of events together, is to bring everybody together in that one space and try and create an atmosphere where people can talk to each other, perhaps bring about some innovation between and the connection. As you say, sometimes to an extent, you can, even with the technology providers, you might say, yes, your competitors, but sometimes there's that innovation that can come out of that space where you put people together in one pot, as it were. So, I mean, what are you most looking forward to as headline partners of our event?
So I think it's going to be a real honour to hear from Simon Weston on the day, recalling that last year was the 40th anniversary of the Falklands conflict. But also, it's a great opportunity, and it's a rare opportunity, right, to take yourself out of the day-to-day business process and be able to have those discussions and think about kind of the challenges and where are we going, and where is the industry going, and what are the problems people are seeing, and it gives the attendees the opportunity to cram a huge amount into a single day. So I'm very much looking forward to that, to meet with people again. And also, if the weather is anywhere near as good as it was last year, very much looking forward to a barbecue on the lawn. Such a wonderful setting. So looking forward to that.
It is. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, that again, it's like, as you're saying, trying to get people into that space where you create that kind of innovative atmosphere and collaborative atmosphere, but doing it in those kind of surroundings just helps that. And as you say, the sun is definitely going to come out for us, for sure. It's gonna be there. I mean, just whisper the words barbecue and don't say it too loud, and I'm sure we'll be fine. So as well as being our headline partners for the summit and fabulously supporting Simon Weston as our opening keynote speaker, which I'm really looking forward to hearing as well, you're also supporting our P2P Team of the Year award. So what is it about the ethos of Tradeshift that wants to support procure to pay teams in the way that you obviously do?
So I think I mean, our entire ethos in the company was born of a desire to enable connectivity. Right? We built a single global network that it exists to enable suppliers and buyers to be able to collaborate, to be able to communicate, and for trade to happen. And fundamentally, trade, if nothing else, is about having the ability to be able to collaborate. And at the heart of that sit the P2P teams. But going back to our first point around the challenges we've seen over the last 2 to 3 years, have to do an awful lot of kind of reacting to these constant changes and that impact them and impact the organizations they work for. So it's great to be able to have an opportunity to kind of recognize them for the work that they do, because no matter what you throw at the P2P teams, they have to keep the wheels turning and they have to deliver that certainty of outcome in very uncertain time. And a lot of them, demonstrate the absolute kind of best in class in terms of how companies should engage and collaborate. So I think it's right that we should recognise them for the great work they do.
Well, thanks very much for doing that. It's fabulous that you can, and it's great to see all those nominations coming in. And like you say, they're doing some amazing work against a difficult backdrop. Over the last 2-3 years, it's been a very difficult economic time and a very difficult personal time as well. I mean, I think we need to remember that as well, and the things that some of the teams are doing and have been doing to ensure that the teams stay engaged, connected, and wanting to innovate and do things differently and better. It's really been inspiring to look at some of those nominations coming in. And don't forget, those nominations close on the 18th of May. So you've still got a chance. If you're still putting those nominations together, you've still got a chance, but be quick and get them in before the 18th of May when they close. And we'll look forward to honouring the finalists and the winner of that award and the other awards on the day on the 6th of June. And for those of you who are still to register, there's time. You can have a look at the link below. It's scrolling below on the screen. If you click on that link, that will take you to more about the event, and you can have a look at the agenda and some of the things that we've been talking about today. But I can't wait. Not long now. It seems to come around really, really quickly. And can't wait. And I can't wait to see you again in person, Will, and introduce Tradeshift to the rest of the network. And as I say, there's a link going on the bottom of the screen there. And if you haven't picked up a ticket yet, there's still a bit of time to do that. And we'll look forward to seeing you there. All right. Well, great to speak to you today, Will. And as I say, look forward to speaking to you at the event on the 6th of June. But for today, see you later.
Thanks, Ella.
Bye-bye.